Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dreams of owning a home or investing in one. So I'd like to take the time to revisit Dave Ramsey's stance when it comes to debt and real estate. I think it's really important, especially after we've been through this pandemic, okay? Now, some of you may or may not know this, but Dave Ramsey is a personal financial guru. He doesn't believe in debt. He doesn't believe in credit cards. And he also is not a proponent for OPM, which is other people's money. He's extremely risk averse. Okay? So I just wanted to preface this to say is that I know that many of you, and I know people personally, who have taken Dave Ramsey's courses, and they have actually gotten themselves out of debt and gotten themselves in a healthy financial track, right? However, not all of them became rich. The ones that did become rich, they moved on and went to someone else. So my feelings about Dave Ramsey is this. He's great for beginners. He's great for people who are in college or who have just graduated college or people who are just getting their feet wet when it comes to financial education and getting out of debt. However, when it comes to getting to the point of becoming completely financially independent, becoming rich, I don't think that you should stop with Dave Ramsey. I think you really should move on and go to someone else and further your education. I also believe that there are some issues, especially nowadays, with Dave Ramsey's teaching. I don't feel as though it's up to date and current like it really should be. For example, when he says that you should be out of debt, I agree with that. But there is good debt and there's bad debt. Okay, owning a home typically is good debt. And the reason why is because you can, first of all, it's a roof over your head, right? The second thing is because you can always pull the equity out of a home and purchase other things that you may need, particularly in case of any type of emergency, right? You can also use that home as an income producing purchase, meaning you can rent out your rooms or rent out an extra apartment or extra spaces in your home, and that will generate a second income, which is what he is for. Okay, so that's why I think it's important to separate the two. Now, many of you know, many of you may not know, Dave Ramsey is not new to real estate. Okay, when he had first started, real estate was really his thing. He was flipping houses. But then what happened was this. He was taking out 90-day repayment loans, and the bank he was doing this with, they actually went out of business and another bank acquired them. When that bank acquired them, they did not extend the loans on Dave Ramsey's properties that he was renovating. So that's one of the reasons why Dave Ramsey is the way that he is when it comes to real estate. Now, fast forward to 2008, Dave Ramsey took advantage of the fact that the economy had tanked, and he knew that he could get property real cheap. So he bought a whole lot of property back then. Mind you, also, his daughter's husband is in real estate, and I believe the daughter's husband is the one that is managing the properties that he still has now. He may have sold one or two, but he still has a lot of properties as of to date. Now, in 2008, what he did was he bought all of those properties at a discount, and he paid all cash. That's another reason why he's promoting that when you buy property, you buy them all cash. Here's the issue that I have with that. Number one, Dave Ramsey lives in Nashville, Tennessee. And properties there are a lot cheaper than, let's say, New York, California, Illinois, for example. So you might be able to buy properties all cash like that. That's number one. Number two, back then, Dave Ramsey had his courses, his university, and his books. He had that all set up. So that's why he had $1 million to buy so many properties at one time and pay it off all cash. But the average American does not have $1 million in cash laying around like that. They don't have books and courses that they can sell in order to generate that amount. As a matter of fact, I know people who have books and courses, myself included, and we have not made $1 million on our products and services. So that's one of the reasons why I don't think that his advice as far as pay it off all cash is practical. It's practical for some people, but it's not practical for most people. So that's why you need to watch it. Watch who you're listening to. Be careful. Be discerning in what they are saying. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm saying it can be done, but not everybody can do it. And everybody doesn't have to do it that way in order to enter into real estate anyway. Now, he does offer an alternative. His alternative is, if you can't buy a property all cash, then put 20% down and get a 15-year loan. That's wonderful. I have no problems with that, to be quite honest with you. But in today's world, there are so many different loan programs out there that you really don't have to put that much of a down payment. You can put less money and still apply for grants. And not just one grant, you can apply for as many grants as you want to on one property. Or you could even get a blanket loan and buy multiple properties. I see absolutely nothing wrong with that, just as long as it's structured correctly, just as long as you are able to meet those minimum payments. Okay, so that's the issue that I have with Dave Ramsey. And I also feel that the loans that we have today, you can't compare it to the loan that he took out back in the 1980s, that 90-day repayment loan. There's no comparison. Absolutely none. Okay? The next thing is that when he mentions he doesn't believe in credit cards, I have an issue with that. A big one. Want to know what it is? There's several, actually. When you go on Dave Ramsey's website and you want a book or you want a course, guess what? You need a credit card. He's not asking you for cash. He's asking you for a credit card. That's how you pay for it. So it's like, how can you be afraid? Let me not say afraid, but how can you be against credit cards, but then you have a website where people can buy your books and your courses with a credit card? And I didn't see anything about how to go about using cash to buy it. See? So the thing with credit cards is that it offers you some type of convenience, because you can use the credit card to buy things off of websites. Or even, to be honest, you can even call up stores that are not, let's say, in your neighborhood or even in your city, and you can have their products delivered to you. For example, I don't have Walmart in my city. It's several cities away from me, but Walmart delivers for free here, especially when I spend a particular amount. So for that reason, credit card is wonderful for me, because it's just too much. It's more money, actually, for me to take public transportation to Port Authority and then find the bus that'll take me to the store. Plus, it also takes a lot of time as well. Why not just sit behind a computer, look on the website, look what they have, purchase it, put it in the cart, and then pay for everything by credit card? So I believe that he needs to update his information. See, back in the day, it was a lot easier to pay things with cash, but in today's world, it's way more convenient to use a credit card. Not only that, in my state, there are certain places where they're not taking cash anymore because of COVID. Believe it or not, I know it may sound strange, but people are afraid that the disease is on the cash, but they're not afraid that it might be on the card, right? So there are certain businesses that are only taking credit cards in my state. Like if you physically show up, I'm not talking about ordering on the website. I'm talking about physically going into the store. They are only accepting credit cards and nothing else. Okay? So that's another reason why credit cards are helpful. The next thing is that some credit cards will give you some sort of insurance, particularly offer travel insurance in case you run into any problems. Some credit cards, most credit cards actually, have some sort of fraud protection. So let's say you pay for a product or a service and you did not get that product or a service. If you paid with your credit card, you can dispute the charges, and a lot of times they won't charge you for that product or service that you put in for. However, if you paid with cash, oh boy, yeah, that might not go so well. You might not get that money back. You may have to go to court, and then you'll have to prove that you actually paid these people for that product or service, right? Even a check, from my understanding, the bank will honor a check, or you can get your money back if it's like within, I believe it's 2 months or 3 months. And it also depends on the bank. After that 2 or 3 months time limit passes, oh, you're going to have to go to court. But if you pay with a credit card, it doesn't really, the ones I have, it doesn't really matter how long ago I paid for that product or service. If I don't get that product or service that I want, I can call in and dispute and get my money back. Okay, so that's a big plus for credit cards or for buying things on a credit card. The other thing with credit cards, some credit cards give you extended warranties on the products that you buy, right? So that's a great incentive. And then lastly, my absolute favorite is points and miles. And Dave Ramsey has talked about the fact that, he thinks that it's still ridiculous because in order to, let's say, get $200 worth of points and miles, you typically have to spend $10,000. That might be true, but guess what? If I spend $10,000 in cash, I don't get any points back. I don't get any miles back. All I get is the actual product or the actual service. If I use a check, same thing. I don't get points and miles back. So I don't see anything wrong with using a credit card to get those points and miles back. The thing is that his issue is that most people are not disciplined. Okay, that might be true. I'm not sure. I've never really seen a statistic on it. However, I say just teach people how to be disciplined. And once you teach people how to be disciplined, then they will be careful with how they spend their money or how they use their credit card. The people that I know that have taken Dave Ramsey's course and then went on to take someone else's course, they didn't fall back into debt. Well, at least not into the bad debt. They got themselves some credit cards and they were able to use those credit cards responsibly. It's been over 10 years now and they have not fallen back. So maybe Dave Ramsey needs to just have a little bit more faith in people. People can change, just as he was able to change people into being debt-free. Know that you can change people to make them more responsible when it comes to using a credit card. Okay? And you could also make them wiser by using a credit card to buy appreciating assets, where the asset produces so much income that the rate of return on it is higher than the interest rate on the credit card itself, right? So if there is a county, because some counties take credit cards, you can actually buy like tax liens and tax deeds on the internet. What you could do is, after you place your bid, just make sure that the property's ROI, the interest rate on it, is higher than the interest rate on the credit card. This way, you'll make a profit. Right? So, I mean, that's a play right there. You make that profit, and guess what? While you're making that profit, you're getting points and miles so that you can travel, among other things. Okay? So I think what Dave Ramsey needs to consider, and I'm not sure if he has considered it. He seems to be very, like I mentioned before, risk averse. But there are ways in which you can minimize risk. That's number one. Number two, honestly, life itself is a risk. There really is no safety net in life. Things are going to happen. You just have to prepare for it. Just like he mentions the having an emergency fund, right? That's what he preaches. That's what he teaches. Great advice. Build up your emergency fund. Build up that retirement plan, among other things. that people can put into play so that it will minimize risk. Talk to a personal financial advisor one-on-one. Sit with them. There are those that are free. Speak to even an attorney or a tax attorney, someone else that can go over your personal finances one-on-one with you and will assist you with however way you wish to invest so that you can come out on top. All right. So those are my issues with Dave Ramsey. Again, I believe that he's for beginners. But once you quote unquote graduate from his program and you become debt free, please seek the advice of someone else who can take you to the next level if that's what you want. But if you think that you're going to just become a millionaire overnight after taking Dave Ramsey's courses, I beg to differ. It'll start you on the road to it, but you can't stop there. You have to push forward. You have to move forward. And that's my advice for tonight. So hopefully what I've shared with you will help you make you strong, smart financial moves. Feel free to pass this amongst your friends. Remember, each one reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.